Hello everyone and welcome to DIY Ideas. So if you've ever done a sewing project, then you may know the one or the other challenge. You start a project or you're in the middle of a project and suddenly your sewing machine isn't cooperating anymore. Mostly these challenges are easier than you think, and I'm going to show you today what you can do to fix some of them. So if there's something wrong with the stitch while you're working, for example, your stitch is different than what you want it to be, or the thread is ripping, or something like that, then you need to check your thread. So I'd always check if the thread is going where it's supposed to go, so just make sure to follow its path and see if everything's right there. Then you should also take a look at your needle. So the right position is important, but also the right type of needle for the type of project you're working with. So depending on the fabric, you might need to change your needle, or you might even break your needle, which is never fun. So if you're starting sewing as a hobby, then make sure to read a little bit about needles, or get someone to teach you which size or which thickness of the needle you need for which kinds of projects. So you see here, I have kind of these little packets with different styles and different sizes of needles for different projects. And you mostly won't need a lot of them, but a couple of them are really helpful when you're doing different things. Needles also ensure high quality results. So if your needles keep breaking, then it might be that you're using a too thin needle for the type of fabric you're working with. So of course, this happens and it's not something to be overly worried about. Just make sure if you're seeing that your needle is struggling, or if you're struggling while working with the needle, you might need a little bit thicker one. So the needle needs to go through the fabric, but if the fabric is really thick, then you might need a thicker needle as well. So wrong types of thread can also cause issues in your project. If it's too thin or too thick, you might not get the results that you need, or you might have difficulty working with it. Also, if you have some thread that is really old, I would recommend getting some new one, as thread does tend to rip more if it's a little bit older. And there are cheap ones, there are expensive ones of course, but I would highly recommend that you take care of the quality of the threads you're buying and the little spools, since cheap thread can easily rip and then your sewing project is no good anyway. So make sure to consider that. Then we also have these little spools that come from the machine itself, and sometimes we have the wrong kinds, or we just buy the wrong kind that doesn't really fit with our specific sewing machine. So if you buy just random ones or separate ones from the sewing machine, it might not work as well. So make sure that you always check which type of sewing machine you have and which type of spool you need. Also, you need to make sure that your sewing machine is clean, of course, even the inside here, and you'd be surprised how much thread and stuff can get in here. So here is a little brush that I always use to clean my sewing machine. So sometimes there is a piece of thread stuck somewhere that's causing issues, or even some piece of fabric or something else. Dust is also an option, so just cleaning it out helps a lot. The cleaning goes for the entire sewing machine and also this top section here. So I also occasionally open this up and just go over it with my little brush and make sure that there's nothing stuck there that's going to be causing issues in my projects later. If you're having some issues with the position of your needle, there's usually a button somewhere on the side, or somewhere on your sewing machine definitely, and then you can kind of adjust your needle position the way you need it to be. Another common issue is thread tension, and that's not something that we want. So I'm going to show you what you can do about that. So in most cases, the thread itself has a little label on the spool that kind of shows you how tense you can have it before it breaks. There are also parts of the sewing machine that kind of tell you what the tension is, and I'll show you that right away. So here is where you can see kind of where your tension is, and this is a really old instruction manual from my sewing machine in German, but you can see here kind of the instructions in your manual, of course, as well, how to adjust this accordingly. With very thin materials, you can have issues that your thread kind of gets stuck in the beginning or on the edge of your fabric. So this usually means that something's stuck inside that shouldn't be where it is. So for that, you can just take off this top section, the top metal section where your needle is, and use pretty much anything to clean it up. A brush, tweezers, or even an unstitcher. Also, another tip is to start a little bit away from the edge if you can, and that way fix the problem. You can also take another piece of fabric and get started there and then kind of transfer to the thinner fabric as well. That also fixes the problem. So as you can see, these issues are annoying and common, but they are very easily solvable, and I hope you learned something new today and something that you can use in your future projects. If you have any other tips to share with me and everyone else watching this video, feel free to post these in the comment section below. We're all going to be grateful for it, and I also love learning from you as well. So of course, if there's something bigger or something completely different that's not working properly on your sewing machine, make sure to get professional help and talk about the price before you get stuff fixed. So I hope you enjoyed today. Feel free to let me know by shooting a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell. See you next time. Bye!